just going back to maybe 10 years or a bit more than that. There is one CEO with whom I dealt with some time back. I just mentioned the name even, it doesn't matter. He's none other than Mr. Shuhei Anand, the Japanese SLT CEO some time back, who worked with us as well. Over a period of maybe, he was acting for about 8 months with the subsidiary which I was working as a CFO. What he said is, since this is something to do with animals, what he said is, don't be a cockroach. Not only to me, he used to tell it to most of the guys. Because if you are in a corporate world, if you are a cockroach, somebody is going to trample you. It's fairly obvious. So you need to be big, but big in the sense, not only the size, your strength, your survival capacity, your uphold your values and live up to it. It is not that easy, but still, always need to keep in mind the fact that you should not be a cockroach, because definitely you are going to get trampled by somebody. Then the other one is quite obvious thing. Don't be a frog in the well. You look out, so go out, mix up with the people, see the kind of framework, attack the conventional wisdom, try to have different views. Don't lock up yourself only to your organization. The organization, yes, you have huge amount of responsibility, you have huge amount of the work that you need to do. You spend more than half of your life over there. Each and every day, sometimes you work for more than sometimes 12 hours. But still, it is not the entire life of yours. So you need to kind of get out of it as well, and you need to have your other networks, you need to work with other people, you need to have the knowledge of other domains, how others are working, what kind of experience that they're having. So that's what I got out of it. So basically, if you go ahead with this particular tag, there again, the cut and paste from somewhere. You stab my back, I will stab yours. So naturally, that is not the way to move forward. So when you start backstabbing each other, the most of your energy, time, and your strategies will be revolved around that, rather than it is self-destructive, to tell you the truth. Because you kill one person and thinking then there again somebody else will kill you, then there again you need to have another strategy to see how we are going to survive. Then there again you have always the strategies to kill somebody else. So what's we are going to achieve finally at the end of the day? Your time, your energy, your skills, your strategy, half of your life is there. When you get into that game, because there is no end. When you start backstabbing other person, then it's a channel, spiral that forever that will go through. So one of the best things is to get away from that. This particular one, I'm not going to explain that much theoretically, but some time back, maybe 7-8 years back, this is none other than one of our guys. Like this is, I think he's in Leeds at the moment. This framework I like a lot, because it gives you kind of an essence. Because in a corporate world, for you to survive, at least for you to get established, formally and informally both, you need to be a trustworthy person. But it comes from total value system of yours. And quite interestingly, there are two guys who did it, this particular research paper, which maybe a couple of times I referred to it. One is Dr. Kalum Jaisingh, who's out of the island for a very long period. At the time I met him, he was somewhere else. Now I think he's with Leeds. And there was another Mauritius guy, another professor, a youngish guy, fairly. So one talks about a Buddhist temple and what you call as Dayaka Sabha, how that particular part is organized. And normally in that kind of a setup, you can't find very eloquent chartered accountants who are doing that. When it comes to the other guy, quite interestingly, he talks about the Kovil of Hindus. And but he's Christian, but still he talks about it, and they come up with some kind of a framework here. What that framework says, quite interestingly, the other guy, even maybe about 3-4 generations back, the origins was from here. The great grandfather or somebody would have gone out from here. So whatever it is, now the important thing here is even your skills in that kind of a setup, even the skills, even without skills, the paramount thing is that you need to be trustworthy. You need to kind of hold your values very strong. Your integrity has to be maintained. it's not really only for accountants that you need to maintain your integrity, or the CFOs, or maybe the finance directors, or whoever you call it. I mean, if you don't have that particular element in your mind, then forget about survival. You can really survive for a very short period of time. It's not going to be long lasting. And the impression that you're going to create in the minds of people are not going to trust you. If the people are not going to trust you, if you kind of cheat, if you do your own juggleries, if you do well practices in the business place, the entire thing is gone. What about survival? I mean, it's kind of pretty much self-destructive. So I really like this particular the theoretical framework that they used to put in. I'm not going to pretty much dwell on that. Other important thing. You know what it is. But most important thing, what I'm going to highlight here is one particular element. I think maybe some sustainability awards, something like that, some time back. For that, I use this particular the slide as a theme, and we develop on that. The king is only the ruler and not the owner of the land. So when you have power in an organization, specifically CEOs and the chairperson, so maybe even at our capacity, what we need to keep in mind is the fact that this amount of power in your hands is not there to exercise your power, and then whatever you command and specifically whatever you deal with, those are not yours. There are a huge amount of stakeholders around you, stakeholders. You are just a servant to kind of carry out certain duties on behalf of other guys. Those stakeholders will be looking at you, and they just give you these kind of resources for you to come back with results which they are depending on. That's all, nothing more than that. So within that domain, what kind of power you are having? You don't have any power to that sense. If you really feel, given that kind of a framework, you are only restricted to that framework, and you are a king after you like kind of get rid of your official duties, or maybe after retirement, you have nothing. And even while you are working in that capacity, even though within the organization you have this much of power, and since your connectivity with other networks, still you feel that you have this much of power that you can command. At the end of the day, nothing. I mean, if you don't have that kind of a feeling, benevolence in your mind, and you really do not work with people, I think finally it's not going to end up with anywhere. Then the other one is specifically development of yourself. For us to survive in an organization or in the corporate world, apart from the quality, apart from your integrity, apart from the other human capacities, still you need to be competent enough. That doesn't hold true for us, like in the first slide where we say even the trust is enough for you to survive in organizations like maybe church, a co-will, or a temple. But in the business organization, that doesn't hold true. Each and every aspect, specifically when you go up to the top management level, your conceptual skills, where you are coming from, what we need to do, what kind of future that we are going to look at, how we are going to shape our future, what kind of journey, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ahead of us, what we need to do. You need to have some kind of a vision. That's extremely important, because if you just hang on to the technical skills alone, you are not going to survive. Then number of things are here. Your foresight, the forward thinking, and the other things, other elements that we need to encourage or to have with us. Those are kind of pretty much essential for us to survive in an organization. Strategic analysis, create wider level of knowledge, forward thinking. Then after having all those kind of things in your mind, how we are going to convert that into the business practices. Those are the kind of important things. Then quickly I will just hang on to maybe number of things what I personally feel that we should do in an organization for us to survive. One of the very simple things, before getting into the things what Confucius used to talk about, what I feel, use your position power as the last resort. Normally what we do when you have the power, the first thing that you jump at the person. If you feel that, say for example, somebody deviated from something, you go and punish the fellow. Then what's the second option? In our world, it's going to be very difficult for you to get rid of a person and sack the person. So that's not the kind of culture that we are living in. Unlike Jack Welch, where he said 20% of the people or 10% of the people you need to sack each and every year and get new blood. So that's a nightmare. We are not going to have it. But our values also doesn't go along with that. Now, then, since you are having so much of power, so if you use that as the first resort, then when it comes to the next stage, if, say, for example, the guy who used the power against, if he comes back on you, so you don't have any other resort. So then finally you are in a bit of a calamity and conflict kind of a situation. So right throughout my life, I normally try to avoid this situation. The first resort, you never try to hang on to power even though you have the power. Normally we do very, very stressful kind of jobs. Then Sri Lankan situation is something like that. The difference between the top and the bottom, maybe 1 to 50 times, you never know it. Some of the things are not getting disclosed even. So you are there, you are getting paid. At least you need to keep in mind the fact that you are there to absorb the amount of pressure that you are getting in the workplace. One thing, the amount of responsibility that you are shielding. So you are paid for it. If you are just there to take that from one hand and throw it out to somebody down the line, then it's not the existence. You are not going to exist or you are going to survive in a working place if you do that. So you need to have huge absorption capacity, and there again you need to keep calm and quiet, and you need to, since you are going to absorb everything, there's no need for you to kind of be always like not a pleasant guy, you don't enjoy your life, then you always in the kind of middle of something, you get pushed from here and pushed from the other side. Yeah, you are like that, but still, you need to develop up to that level. I'm not going to say I'm corporate leader. From the very beginning, I used to kind of resent the fact that I'm a corporate leader, whatever it is, whatever capacity you are in. If you are in a capacity like CFO, the finance director, maybe chairperson or even CEO, specifically you need to have that particular capacity. It is not that the entire thing you flush down like what you call the toilet pit. You cannot really do that. So always you need to keep in mind the fact that you are there and your absorption capacity is paramount of importance. So we feel that challenging the conventional wisdom is only there for unions. They will come and challenge the wisdom. Why the hell that we bother about? The first thing, if you are a leader or if you know to survive in, it's going to be hard, yes. Otherwise, what will happen if you do not challenge the conventional wisdom? There is no diversity in the management board or with the board of directors. There is no diversity. Everybody will say yes and yes, yes, yes. So what the diversity? But as a leader or as even with whoever, you need to have different perspective. You need to challenge the existing wisdom. You need to come up with new ideas. You need to get away from the say yes kind of culture. Even though it's going to be very hard, it's going to be very difficult. If you don't do that, your survival, you can thrive, but you can get down maybe in a minute as well. This is a bit practical. When it comes to, there again, emanating from the idea of having different views, it's going to be extremely important for us to encourage the kind of the people to get along with each other. Normally what we do, we try to create culture where the people will fight with each other. Even in the same department, if you have two guys who are reporting to you, you would love to see that those two guys are kind of hating each other and fighting each other. Then you feel sometimes that can control, that will have some power for you to control both the guys. It's never going to happen. When it comes to kind of the things do, when we need to do things together, if you are trying to do something, teamwork, you are going to collapse. So you need to create culture. You need to always encourage the people to get on with each other and do the right thing and to build up some kind of the cooperation and the collaboration rather than kind of fighting each other. Sometimes the issue is the vague definition of the job profile, whatever. When you don't have very clear cut, this is your job profile, these are the duties that you need to do, then there are other guys who try to kind of encroach into the other person's segment, thinking that they can have some kind of political advantage. So the important thing is you need to have that particular clarity, and sometimes when the things are getting overheated, you need to avoid, sometimes maybe for a while, these two guys who are, you can't see each other's face, then sometimes you need to have a bit of a respect, you need to keep them aside for a while. Those kind of tactics you need to use. Otherwise it's going to be sometimes difficult when you allow it to interact pretty much and to end up with some kind of eruption finally. So it's going to be important sometimes to use that kind of tactics. The other one is you really need to encourage the different views of the people. If you don't have that mix, if you don't have different perspectives, if you do not encourage that kind of a culture from the top, then it will never flow down. If you encourage only the people who will say yes and do not have any kind of different interactions, if you don't have any other, then what kind of a development that you are looking at the end of the day? Then there again, it does not mean that you need to go to the extremes. When you have different people who are coming from different backgrounds, who have different attitudes, who are having, it's diverse kind of jungle that we are living. When you live in a very much diverse jungle, if you need to encourage this kind of different kind of ideas, but you should not allow them to clash each other and kind of blown it up. You need to manage in a bit of a subtle way. You need to have a kind of, in the middle, you need to manage in kind of a very much middle way. The other one is the respect. The respect. Don't feel that even your officer, even your driver, even when any person down the line, to me, I respect my chairperson or chairman, I respect my driver as well. Each and every human being, they have their own self-dignity. If you do not have that particular, the culture that is developed in your mind, sometimes this probably should come from your small age, your teenage even. If you don't have the kind of mind framework where you feel that even your domestic servant, if you do not respect, if you do not build up in that kind of a culture, that's going to be tough for you to come into. Like say for example, if you feel that you are a chairperson or you have huge amount of power, because of that, there is no need for you to kind of respect even the person who used to come and clean your toilet. And then they all are human beings. It's very simple truth. Whatever the corporate ladder you are sitting down in, whatever hot seat that you are sitting in, it doesn't matter. The respect for people and listening to them, specifically respecting them, is extremely important. And when you build up that particular culture, people know, people will trust you, people will be close to you. Without that kind of, we are far away from the bureaucratic kind of thinking which we inculcated and we practiced. Some of the theoretical frameworks say some of these characteristics may be 1,000 years old, but still sometimes we are going and hanging on to that. As well as far as humanity is concerned, as far as the respecting each other is concerned, it's not only you respect maybe one line down, no, cross to the bottom. That respect you need to have. Then the other one is, don't involve in organizational politics. We just mentioned earlier also. It's waste of time. But there again, when we go further down, sometimes you can really feel if you do not manage organizational politics, you are not going to survive as well. But yet, it's my point of view, if you put your energy into it, if you try to kind of get into very informal tactics, and then you need to spend huge amount of time, yeah, always you need to be watchful. Now, I did something like this to another guy to destroy him, then there will be a reaction. Not only that, not only from that end, heap of other reactions will be coming through. But other interesting thing is, if you are not aware of the environment, if you are not aware of the circumstances, like say for example, even if you are not involved in politics, you can succumb to politics as well. So the important thing is, there is no need for you to get involved in it, but at least you need to be aware of it. The other one is work-life balance. I don't have sons, unfortunately, but fortunately. The work-life balance, when you really engage with number of things in your life, not only your job, since you are not going to be a frog in the well, you have a lot of other interactions in your life. You have a lot of other communities with whom that you deal with. You have other informal gatherings. You have a lot of friends. You have a huge amount of network. Then your time that you really, how you are going to balance your the work and the home front. My personal experience, I don't have that. Probably most of the time, either I do my maybe some kind of lecturing, or I do my studies, or otherwise I do some other social service. I do certain other things. My time with the family is a bit of a problem for me. But I think long-lasting solution for it is having a good wife. Nothing more than that. If you really don't have that, sometimes even the corporate the world, well, you need to pretty much engage in other complications. Then you need to get involved in certain kind of dilly-dallying, certain the conflicts at home. Then you really don't have peace of mind first. Second thing, you need to the clearness of your mind is also not there. Then you need to spend a lot of time on other issues, domestic issues. The clear solution is definitely my personal experience having a good wife. That will resolve at least, I would say, maybe 90% of your problems. Yeah, just getting into some the kind of definitions. Now, the politics is the rivalry between competing interest groups or individuals for power. They fight with each other for power, authority and leadership, maybe formal or informal. Often used the influence, they attempt to influence people, they use power tactics, they have informal behavior, acting against the interests of company, securing valuable resources, and kind of number of other interactions. You try to get power into your hands, otherwise you try to get resources into your hand, or otherwise you have different behavior pattern. So these are the parts of kind of jungle that we are living in. Then moving away from it. Now, when you come to the managing the situation, sometimes it's going to be extremely difficult for you to completely eradicate these kind of situations. If you really feel that you can clean it up, like say for example, since maybe you are the leader over there, because of that since you do not get involved in politics, the environment can be clean. It's completely you can eradicate. No, it's not going to happen. Like say for example, if you feel that, as Jesus Christ said, if somebody slapped, then you offer the other cheek. If you offer the other cheek, they will not really slap, they will hammer you other cheek. So that's the kind of environment. So the issue is, even if you are not going to get involved in politics, you need to be aware of managing it, and need to find mechanisms how you are going to get these diverse peoples together, how we are going to get some teamwork, how we are going to get, rather than encouraging what is going on, how the other mechanisms where you can get these people together and work in collaboration. That's the kind of thing that you need to encourage rather than the kind of maintaining status quo. And the important thing is, if you have certain issues, if you really feel that two kind of groups are having serious issues with each other, allow them to kind of speak to each other without speaking out, or otherwise without having those issues sorted out. To sort out those issues, you need to speak up. What the issue, why you have this kind of disagreement, what the root cause for disagreement, why you have different beliefs, why you have different attitudes. Then without speaking it out, there's nothing to resolve. Finally, you just will live in your jungle and other fellow will live in another jungle. So then to get out of it, you need to really thrash out those issues.